Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're talking about the spell Circle of Death. Speaking of genocide,
we were just talking about this. This is a 6th-level necromancy spell. It's got a 150-foot range, cast in time of an action. It requires the powder of a crushed black pearl worth 500 gold, but doesn't consume it. So if you get that crushed black pearl, you can reuse it. Instantaneous duration. A sphere of negative energy ripples out in a 60-foot radius sphere from a point within range. Each creature in that area makes a con save. It takes 8d6 on a failed, half as much on a success. Wait a second. 8d6 damage, Bob. What else does 8d6 damage?
What level spell is this?
This is the 6th. What classic iconic 3rd level spell does 8d6 damage?
At this level?
No. Just 3rd level spell.
Is that Fireball?
It is Fireball.
It is.
And how many spell levels higher is this? Oh, it's 3.
Yeah. But, I mean, who gets this?
Sorcerers, Warlocks, and Wizards.
Ah. All right, well, it does have the advantage of having a wider area, correct?
It does? Do you ever need a 120-foot sphere of death?
Well, me personally? No. But my characters, perhaps? I mean, you can say that about Fireball. You don't need that bigger. I mean, you might need it. You might need this. Two scenarios come to mind. One, you've got the massive army approaching and surrounding your keep or whatever. And two, just enemies are like spread out quite a bit. Yeah, maybe you got some sharpshooters hiding in the bushes. You're not even sure where they are. But this will take them down. What's the face?
I'm not convinced. I don't think there's going to be enough encounters and enough battle maps, frankly, where there's going to be a discernible difference between this's radiuses and fireballs. There will be an occasional time where, sure, you hit everything in the room where otherwise you would have just hit the backline, or you hit everything in the room where otherwise you would have just hit something else. But here's a really, really pivotal question. How much is that extra range worth it to you over a regular fireball? Is it 3 spell levels worth?
No, probably not.
Probably not. Well, you could cast Fireball twice for a 3rd to 4th level slot and hit those same creatures, and then you still have your 6th level slot to do more busted stuff with.
You could upcast your Fireball and do a ton more
damage than this. Yeah, 3d6 more damage than this.
All right,
I don't see it. So being able to hit literally everything, this will very frequently just say everything on the battle map is going to take this fireball damage. That's not nothing. I'm just curious how many actual encounters will exist where that is useful. I think the answer is very few. I think most of the time, if you're casting Circle of Death, you're a villainous monster NPC that the DM came up with that's killing a town worth of people. That's sort of the use case I see for it, is everyone's gathered in the village square, and there's been a mystery going on as to why the gemsmith's like, well, they didn't steal my most valuable things, they just stole this onyx. Why did that happen? And the players are going on this little murder mystery, going around trying to figure out why someone broke in, and why they have this, why they have that, and the library burned down, but someone checked out a book right before it happened. Maybe they're trying to cover their tracks. And then, at the end of the day, there's a big town festival or whatever, and the villain kills everyone in the town square with a Circle of Death, and everyone goes, bom, bom, bom! It was all right in front of us the whole time. I think that being the actual use case of it.
All right, why isn't the villain using a fireball then?
It should be, but this is eviler. This is more evil than that, Bob.
One more scenario. Maybe you don't want to burn stuff.
Sure.
You want to kill everybody, but you don't want to destroy anything else.
We're keeping the structures intact. We just want everyone to die in the structures.
What's the use of killing everyone in this town if you don't get to move into their houses?
That's a great point. That's a very valid point. I think that Circle of Death is very narrow, and it's something I tend to see it. The usefulness of Circle of Death is you're a DM that doesn't want to make your players feel like you're pulling punches, but you definitely need to. So you give your upper tier monsters this kind of 6th level spell, which is a huge area. It'll hit the entire party, probably so will Fireball, but or most of the party with Fireball. This will actually hit the whole party guaranteed. But then it's also doing the 8d6 necrotic damage, and it's less than a 6th level slot should be dealing to most of this kind of area effect stuff. It is enough area of effect damage, so you're never going to be embarrassed casting this. It's just not going to be good. This isn't a 1, this isn't uncastable trash, this isn't entirely unusable. It's just so much worse than Fireball, it's hard to overcome that difference.
All right. You're fighting in a cornfield. One, you don't want to burn down all the corn.
That's true. I would hate to
two,
damage all the. It'd be a lot of popcorn specifically.
Yeah. That all right. You present a good argument. But two, people are hiding everywhere. You can't see. True. You want the extra range to make sure you get as many of them as possible.
That's actually, I think, even beyond the cornfield argument, like if there's a sleet storm, you don't know where things are in the sleet storm, or just like a big obscuring area, you can say, doesn't matter, death, and that's gonna affect them in the area. You don't need it to know. This is the equivalent of just pulling out the machine gun and just spraying and praying. You just know you're gonna hit a wide area that's gonna kill a lot of stuff, and you don't really kill or care what you're killing, but it's gonna kill things.
Who are you praying to? Does Jesus favor this?
I don't know.
I
don't know.
All right, one more. This is not really a scenario. This is just a question. The saving throws. Fireball is Dex. This is Constitution. How much does that matter?
It doesn't. I'm a huge. If you go through the monster manual and you go through all the monsters that ever existed and you check all of their stats, there will be a statistical likelihood that one save will be more creatures will have on average a higher version of one save than the other. I am in the camp that this is such a varied game that if you're wasting your mental energy on that when trying to discuss between your spells which you should take, you're wasting your time, because the meaningful amount of encounters you're having in campaign are not a high enough quantity that you're willing to make that kind of menial decision. If you're going to fight 10,000 encounters, sure. If you're going to fight 50 encounters, it's not worth the brain space. Most things are going to have a high con or a high dex, typically not both. Figuring out if it's worth to cast one over the other, it just doesn't matter. Con save versus dex save, this is better against quicker, smaller things. Con is better, or dex is better against fatter, slower things. That isn't, you're not going to, if you see, oh my goodness, there's a bunch of nimble goblins, there isn't a great reason to say I took both Circle of Death and Fireball. You would probably rather have spells that do something meaningfully different. If you do have both, sure, you can say, I guess I'll make the con save now as opposed to the dex save, but then you're trading off 3d6 damage for the change in save. That's almost certainly not going to be worth it. So I think I would not put weight into the save types. I don't think it's worth your brain space. I don't think it's worth the mental effort that it takes to try and decide between them upon selection. I don't think you're preparing both for the reason that they have different saves. I think if you're in a circumstance where you're deciding between them, the other differences between the spells will be more apparent than the actual save differences. So I think that's where you should probably, I would spend more of my mental effort on other elements of my build and other spells I'm preparing, and have my 1 damaging spell or my 2 damaging spells sort of be there to fall back on.
Yeah, I guess the only reason I could think to take this is because you really value that wider area.
It won't never happen. It won't often happen.
All right, well, that's all I got to say. You got anything else? Circle of Death. It's
really simple.
Intense.
It does have a 150-foot cast range, so does Fireball. But that's not, that's a large distance. If this flavorfully is the Necromancer top-end fantasy, and like I said, well, this is lower damage than Fireball. Most things are. And 8d6 is usually just enough damage to a large amount of things. And if you want it for the flavor, and you're saying the little extra area gravy is upside, that's fine. I don't see this being that harmful to take. You shouldn't expect it to be like out using Fireball. And I think this probably could do 2d6 more damage, and then we'd have a more real conversation on our hands as to whether or not the trade-off is worth it. At where it's at right now, I would say probably not. And if you just don't care about the flavor, Fireball is going to be better suited for you. If you do care about the flavor, though, you're not going to be embarrassed to cast this. It's not the absolute end of the world. It's still 86 damage in a giant area. That's going to always be fine. So,
the more I think about it, I was kind of joking before about the cornfield and the village and stuff, but I think
that's the best use case for it. I think
there might be like instances, depending on your table and your DM, where you do want to hurt creatures, but you don't want to destroy everything around you.
I think I would run into I think that is one good example. Yes, I think that is the case. I agree. I also think that there will be windows where you're in a big enough area of obscurity that a fireball is just too small. And those are the two real windows where I think I would want Circle of Death on my sheet, not fireball. My next immediate question is, are those specific encounters numerous enough to justify preparing it? And I think that answer is probably no.
Probably. I'm kind of on the fence though.
That's fair. I will say real quick, warlocks don't get fireball naturally unless you're a fiend lock. So yeah, this is a lot better on warlocks. It's using your 6th level. It's not even using your pack magic slots. You get this with your what are they called? The warlocks get once per long rest upper cast spells, like regular characters do, but they don't use spell slots. Mystic Arcanum, that's what they're called. They're Mystic Arcanum. So if you take this with your Mystic Arcanum for 6th level, sure, that seems fine.
All right. Well, I guess we're done.
Yeah, 2 out of 5. Perfectly.
2 out of 5.
It's a damaging spell. It's got some niche upsides over Fireball, but not enough that I'm willing to ever prepare it for it.
Yeah, I'm probably not either, but it is enough to where I'm going to give it 1 more star. I'm going to give it 3.
There. Fireball is a banger of a spell, so if
Yeah.
we're comparing it to a banger, maybe I should be rating it higher.
No, I'm giving it that extra star specifically for those niche purposes.
No, fair.
I like them, and even if they don't happen that often, I'll feel cool for having thought of that and not burning down the village. All right, that was Circle of Death. Let us know what you think in the comments as always, and thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it, a gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.